Welcome to Project Insight's Power Tutorial Series. We're excited to show you how Project Insight can empower project managers and organizations by turning manual tasks into seamless automation. Our award-winning platform has been helping teams succeed for years, and today we're focusing on one of the biggest challenges in project management, resource and capacity planning.
Yeah,
As you know,
definitely.
yeah, it is, right, Steve? The number one way to slow down a project is by manually managing the details inside of spreadsheets and emails. But with Project Insight, we're able to turn all that manual entry into project automation, helping you speed up and streamline your workflow. Today's session, we're going to cover how to automate resource and capacity planning for your teams, including automated resource assignments that eliminates repetitive tasks, dynamic resource allocation with easy drag and drop features, automatic task and schedule updates, ensuring your team always stays on track, AI-powered resource suggestions for smarter project management, intelligent PTO and alternate schedule integrations that automatically adjust to your project plan. But before we dive in, a few housekeeping notes. Everyone will be on mute. You are encouraged to use the chat, and it is being used right now. Feel free to share where you're calling in from. We've got New Zealand, Orange County. I'm in Phoenix. Steve's in Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
Before we get started, I'm Matthew Sparks. I'm a part of the sales team here at Project Insight. Joining me today is our CEO, Steve West. Steve has been here since the beginning, and we're thrilled to show how we can help automate resource and capacity planning to make your work life easier. Ready?
Yeah, let's go for it. We have only 15 minutes, so we got to
I
hustle.
know, I know. I'm eating up all of our time here. We've got Canada as
Yeah.
well. Hello. So
So let's just start with what we see oftentimes from people coming in, maybe who haven't been using our tool. A lot of times companies are using a spreadsheet like this to track their capacity, or like this one as well. We see things like this with the people and roles with the boxes all to fill in. And what we're going to do here is show you how to replace this kind of spreadsheet with something a lot simpler. Um, now, what what I was showing you before with the spreadsheets, a lot of times you'll have to like type in the number, right? Well, even finding out what the capacity number is really difficult. But in Project Insight, out of the box, if you just put your schedules in our tool, you'll get a report like this. And what I'm seeing here is a real simple 10-week capacity. This can be by week or by month, but I'm choosing by week
or
because
by
weeks
day,
are real. You can
even
do it by
Steve.
day, but I think,
Yeah.
yeah, most of our customers will look at their capacity on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. And I've got all my resources here. This can be the whole system, or my department, or any combination of who you want to see. And at the top here, I've got a graph and of how much work someone needs to do. Note we have three different colors showing on this report right now. Purple showing for PTO. That means that Adam is out for 3 weeks. And then you can see he's over allocated with this red because it's above the green line. The capacity line is the amount of work that that person can do in a given week. And the green below that line is how much of that capacity is being taken up. So like here we have Brett Favre, he's got 40 hours a week and he's using 30 on, but on this week all 40 is taken with 16 over. And if you just see, I'm highlighting here is a little tooltip right there. You can see it tells you even what week it is, how much work, how much PTO, if you need the detail. That's one way to see the detail. But also, if I really want to see what's going on, all I got to do is hit the little arrow. And now I'm looking at all the projects, not just one, but all projects that Brett Favre is assigned to, and how many hours per project make up the total work going on here. And I can even drill further than this down into what tasks that he is assigned to that puts him over the edge here. And what I can do, let's say I want to take this 8 hours off of um, Brett Favre's plate, I can actually just drag this down to another user like this, and it'll actually balance right from the report. You can see it change things around by moving things down to here. And one other thing I want to show too is that we're doing bottom up and top down capacity. So as long as you have a schedule in there where you've put your work hours in for how much, it'll just do it automatically. But a lot of times people ask us, well, what about overhead? Like, what about if they're busy on the help desk? And you can do two different things in our tool. You can either lower their capacity in their profile. I can show you that in a little while. Or what we always recommend is don't lower their capacity, but let's put in a project for the whole company called overhead. And you can see this is a top down project here where the hours per week is estimated. And if I want to even edit this data right from here, I can just click right there and you'll see I've got the same date boxes as I'm showing on the report. Instead of 33 hours, I want to lower that to 10. The default being 33, you can see if I don't override it, then 33 carries on and I can keep going out into the future or back to by just clicking here and add another row out to the edge to continue to put more capacity in. But obviously 10 weeks is pretty far out. Once I save that, now that 33 went to 10. So down here, like for example, there's 10 hours of overhead for Craig. Let me just take the 10 hours off and make that 0. Now I've lowered this problem just a little bit. Um, and you can also level a task like this. Let me look for one that causes somebody to be over. This 40 hours here causing Craig to go over. I could actually well, that's overhead here. Let me open that up. This is a task. I can actually take this task now and instead of instead of 40 hours on September, let's just zero that out and move those 40 hours down here. And now I'm actually moved it over and he's lower there. So I was able to move those 40 hours out, skip a week and move it over. So you can basically level from this report and drag and drop, edit, or level, or just visualize what's going on. Now, another question people always ask. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Which is super powerful, right? Because you're not having to go into each of these projects or like another sheet to update this and have it go through. When you drag and drop that assignment to another member, they're automatically notified that they're the owner of the task and what they need to
Yeah,
do. And then that top down is so powerful because maybe you don't want to get into the granularity of each individual task. Like you're saying, I just need
yeah,
Matt to be on the overhead stuff for 20 hours a week, and then you can have that in there as well.
yeah. And I'll show you how the top down works. And the really great thing about top down is you would use it for overhead, but also for if you're thinking about doing a project and you don't want to put in a full schedule yet, you just kind of want to rough it out. That's what you would use the top down for. You'll make a project. I'll show you in a minute how to do that on a project level, and that lets you occupy the capacity and see what that would do without having to take the time to put a full project plan in. And the other thing that people use the top down for is we have bi-directional integrations with other project management systems like Jira and DevOps, which are agile based systems. And I swear 90% of the time, the customers of ours who use those tools don't put any effort in them at all. If they do, they might use story points or something like that. But you want to maybe represent the people being busy on those sprints. You can put a top down project in, or for those synchronized projects with our tool, or you can even just put one in just to represent they're busy in those other tools. But if you are integrating directly to us, those resources, you can estimate how many hours on the sprints they're going to be doing with the top down, and I'll put their capacity on this report.
And that's if you're not planning that in those other tools, because if
That's
you
right.
are planning, the bidirectional sync will have those come over as tasks within.
Right.
Yeah.
If you are putting effort of any kind, even story points into Jira or DevOps, then that can be converted into our tool for the bottom up calculation. But I think most often the customers of ours who use those integrations tend to go the other way, where they'll say, okay, these resources are 40 hours for the next month, or X months, and then they don't have to worry about making sure that the estimates in the other tools are accurate, but they still can see everything. Now let me move on to another report. Now I'm actually looking at that same data, but I'm looked at it with by resource type, which is really common. It'll roll up to individuals types here, so I can drill in now and see the same, here are my developers and what's going on with them, and my consultants and what's going on with them. So I can get a sense of like what discipline are we over most on. In this case, we're over on planners, but we actually have a lot of excess capacity in the rest of these resource types. And you could do it by department as well. So here's all my departments. You'll see the marketing department's over allocated. And if I click on here, I can see all my people just in that area. And one other thing to note is these resources aren't always necessarily people. They can be equipment, and also in this case, a team, like a role. So you can actually see what's going on with your roles and as well. And once you put this data in, you can also have a real nice chart. This is my total capacity of this in the system. And here's what we're occupying. So you can see we actually have capacity in our resources in our demo system right now. But if the blue line were above the green line, then you would know, hey, we've got an allocation problem. So this is just the same report out of the box with a chart attached to it. Um,
And you're just simply clicking that filter button right there to get all those different views, really, just from the user perspective. You go in there and
yeah,
select, I want to look at it by my department. I want to look at it by my role.
yeah,
I want to chart the data. It's really simple.
exactly. You can chart it right here. You can change your roll ups. You can change what columns. I didn't
Even
mention.
what's shown. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't mention that I'm just showing you the work on these reports here, but you can add like what's the dollar value of the work here, or you can put in the actual hours that someone enters through the time tracking system and all of that. So we got a few minutes left here, so let me move on. To do overhead or top down, when you navigate to your project, go to resources and choose the resource allocation planning. Here's where you'll see uh, your schedule start date and your target completion date. What's really great about this too is while you're checking your plan, let's say this is a top down and I'm going to check on it, you can shift the whole project just with changing the date. I don't have to go in and update these dates and this sequence. It'll stay consistent. But if I want to add another resource onto my plan sheet, I can just simply go in here and I'll pick John Johnson and say that he's going to be 5 hours on estimate, and now I'm done. Or I can, put in as different estimates for different dates. But this is where you would do, if you're looking at your one project at a time, you'll come to this resource view. And the same thing for your DevOps Jira integration. You would just come right over there as well. Now, let
You
me
can
look at,
do
yeah,
percent there as well, just to make that call out. If you, in your workspace, you
yeah.
prefer to use the percentage as opposed to actual work hours, you can do that as well. I'm going to allocate 10% of Steve's time, 25% of his time on this project.
Yeah, you can do it by percent. I personally think hours is easier or
I like
better.
hours too. Yeah, it makes more sense in my brain also, but some people
Yeah.
do care for that percent. So
Yeah, but you can do that. And again, this can be weeks or months. And there's some other more advanced options I'm not going to get into here right now as far as the rules. Um, and then let me just take an example of now that you've done all this work and you want to check what's going on in your system. Let's say we're going to try a new task, and this is just a new task I'm scheduling, and it'll start. By default, it can't start in the past, but I can set the date or I can just let it schedule, or you put the predecessor in ahead of time. And then when I want to know who can do this, I can actually hit the little magnifying glass. And this is showing me the people that are most available to do that task over the next 3 weeks. So I can see that Richard doesn't have anything. Let me just assign that to him. And now I've got this assigned to Richard Gold, 80 hours. If I want to see the capacity of Richard, I can see that again. Now that he's done this, this is what it's going to do to him. And I can even drill right into other things he might be doing. So from the task list in your regular schedule building operation, you've got this an AI system that will match the people, the resources who are most available based on, and it's also based on the characteristics of the task. So if the task is a certain resource type, then it will filter and rank and score the people that are most likely to be able to do that. So like, let's take a look at, let me cancel out of that. and I don't really want to save that. But let's take a look at this particular task. I can see a preview here of Brett, and I can see he's over. I'm just going to suggest, I can look at it and decide what do I want to do about it, or I can suggest somebody else, and I'll pick Kevin Mills to replace uh, Brett Favre on this task. So you can see now it's Kevin Mills for 6 hours instead of Brett Favre. And now I've got a whole different, well, Emily's got a problem. I could have fixed her too. So same thing. You can go in here and try to sort out who could take over these tasks for somebody. So this is a really neat feature that we have in our tool because, and it is looking across all projects, who's most available across the whole system, not just in the one project. Some of our competitors have competitive tools that do capacity planning, but you might have to go like wait 5 minutes and go to another report and then go back to your project and check it all in. So we kind of eliminate all of the, by having it all combined together, we eliminate all of that.
Yeah, figure it out by type of task to be done, by the resource that you need. You can automatically have that resource, pulled in. And then you can also have that raised hand there, right, Steve, if you're over allocating somebody. If you as the assigner are overburdening somebody, the system can let you know that as well.
That's
if you're
true.
not looking at that.
Yeah, you can go, there's a possible warning capability. I do want to show two more screen. I know we're wrapping it up, but I do want to show one more screen here, which is, this is their person's per PTO calendar. This makes it easy for your resources to put PTO in. If I am going to take a day off next week, I can just click on here, and that'll automatically lower, or it will lower the capacity of that week for that individual, as well as if you're using our time tracking, it automatically creates the time entry for that as well. And we have some customers that this data, if you're using something else, like an HR system, you can have a dump of the HR system or an integration to have that data come in automatically, which some of our customers do. And I think we have some people on the list have never seen anything. Going to follow the final screen of, if you were to use our system, your users come into a screen like this, real simple, like almost like an iPhone, and team members, project managers, only really, might have more boxes here, but the team members, all they need to know how to do is just take a look at this. And all those tasks I just showed you who are assigned to this user on that capacity show up right here. This is the name, the type of task it is. This is a task. This is an issue. This is the name of the task, what project it is, and the status. They can just come right in here, update their status, tag someone and collaborate, do their time entry if you're doing time entries, all from one screen. In this view right here, is also in the Microsoft Teams app that we have, as well as on the smartphone if they're using the phone. So we try to make it really easy for your people doing the work to know what they're supposed to be working on and provide a really simple interface for them. So I did want to show that because we have so many people on this webinar that are not customers right now.
Yeah, I think that's a great call out, Steve, right? As you are balancing it out and assign that task to me, when it hits that time, in November, when that task is up,
Yep.
it's going to automatically be on my work list. It'll be on my
Right.
phone. It'll be on my Teams. You don't need to chase me down to do any of that because PI will do all the automation for you, right?
That's right. All the email alerts, the push notifications, the team, really the goal as project managers, we want our teams to help us run this project, right? You don't want to have to go ask every single person via email or in your team meeting, what's the status of this? What's the status of that? And we get them to be involved in the process. And I think also, I didn't really mention earlier, but the tool does have all methodologies. We're waterfall capable, we're agile capable, we have Kanban boards and Gantt charts and the whole meeting minutes, the full RAID log. All of that stuff is in this tool. So if you're curious about it, check us out on our website and go look at all of the other capabilities we have.
Yeah, please do reach on out if you have any questions on how we can make your work life easier from a resource allocation perspective, or any of those other features that Steve had just mentioned. We would love to work with you. You can reach out directly at sales@projectinsight.com. And if there's anything that we can do, our mission is to make your work life easier. Please do reach out.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.